Welcome, moviegoers. How are we doing? Good, good. Do you have your ticket? All right, what do we have here? Real Swell. Good choice. You're going to be in Auditorium 40, but straight ahead and to the right. Enjoy. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Episode 10. This is the series finale, and we get a better idea of what Norman Osborn has been doing with all of the technology that his internship has been creating, mixed with a lot of the tech that he has taken from Otto Octavius. All of the projects that Amadeus Cho, Asha, Dr. Connors, and Peter have been working on have culminated into Norman's big project, his big idea. And he is on this tear about creating heroes to help defend against whatever may be out there. He's a mix of Tony Stark and Ultron and Nick Fury. He essentially wants to protect the Earth from whatever is out there by any means necessary, using whatever resources he can put his hands on. Well, what he's built is essentially an Einstein-Rosen bridge. So the events of the first Avengers movie, where they're using the Tesseract to create that gateway into the other side of space, he has essentially built that. Now, before he can turn it on, because he's showcasing this to all of his interns, Dr. Whitman is there, Dr. Connors is there, the whole group is there, and he's giving them a presentation on the fruits of their labor. And before he's able to turn on this bridge, Doctor Strange shows up and he says, "You can't do this. Turn this off. This is dangerous. You don't know what you're messing with." And of course, Norman isn't having any of it. He's not taking any of these warnings seriously. So he manages to subdue Doctor Strange and turn on this bridge. Well, on the other side of it is this space, and what resides in this space is that Venom monster from the first episode. It comes through this gateway and begins tearing things up, of course. Everyone gets evacuated. Peter puts on his suit and he assists Doctor Strange in trying to fight this monster. Well, during this fight, they are trying to throw this Venom monster back into this portal and back to where it came from. Well, they're having trouble with that, and the portal gets damaged, and Peter has to repair it because the entire, let's say, battery of this thing is that magnetic stabilizer that he had built. It got damaged. So he's doing repairs on this thing while Doctor Strange is fighting this Venom monster. Well, I mean, you can probably tell where this is going, right? Doctor Strange has to figure out a way to give Peter more time. So he opens up a wormhole in the floor, and he and this Venom monster pass through it. He has activated the Time Stone as well, because he is losing this fight against this Venom monster. It's got him all tied up. So he activates the Time Stone to reverse time a little bit so that he isn't entangled anymore. So he goes back a few minutes, a few seconds, so that it's right before Venom is shooting its tendrils at him. Well, the next moment, as he opens the portal onto the floor, the ring around the portal is green, signifying wherever he's going is a different time. Well, he falls through this, and so does the Venom monster, and we're back at the beginning of the series or the season. Episode 1, he lands right in front of the school and begins to have that battle with this Venom monster with Peter and Nico there as well. So that entire scene is playing out again. We also see that somehow one of the spiders got loose and is just crawling around. So now we know where the spider came from that bit Peter. But that spider only exists because it came out of a wormhole that bit Spider-Man and turned him in, or bit Peter and turned him into Spider-Man. So either they have just created this spider and the abilities that it gave to Peter out of nothing, or what they're saying is Peter always had these powers because they've created a paradox that can't be explained. Like it's an Ouroboros. Like you can't tell me that this spider exists because it bit Peter, gave him Spider-Man abilities. Dr. Norman, Dr. Norman, Norman Osborn took Peter's blood, created a spider. That spider dropped through a wormhole, bit Peter, who doesn't have powers. And then that cycle continues. So the only logical explanation for me is Peter has always had that in his DNA, which is kind of something Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man hinted at. So they're just bringing back every idea of every IP that Spider-Man has been involved in the last 20 years. Okay, after that, the show becomes this montage of character introduction. Like the last 10 to 12 minutes is us just being introduced to other characters that they plan to put in next season. And it's a mess, actually. It's very strange that nothing actually happens, except we learn that Lonnie is now given up going to school. He no longer cares about that. He's the leader of the 110th gang now. He's becoming Tombstone. He's even got his skin beginning to turn silver or silverish blue. We've got Nico summoning the spirit of her mom, who lives within this amulet. But that's it. She just says, "It's great to see you." And we cut to another scene. We've got Otto Octavius in jail, who's wearing prison garb now. They took away his other jumpsuit and a lab coat. Now he's an actual prisoner. And he's got these scribblings on the wall, and they are of his mechanical arms. So this idea that he had putting those arms in the rafters of his warehouse, he's now determined the better place for them will be on his back. So that's coming. We also have Venom. So whatever this monster is that was from this other corner of the galaxy, similar to No Way Home, where Venom is in that bar, and right before he gets taken back to wherever universe, the Sony universe he came from, a piece of Venom gets left in wherever they are. Well, they do that again in this episode. They do manage to throw this Venom monster back through the portal, and as it's closing, a piece of it gets snipped off and lands into the universe we inhabit in this series or this season. Norman goes back into this building to try to take an assessment of the damage, and he finds that little piece of this Venom, the symbiote. They don't call it a symbiote now. I'm assuming that's where they're going with it, though. But then that's it. He just sees it, and it's crawling around. So, foreshadowing whatever that's going to be. We also get Mary, Aunt May visiting a jail cell, and she is talking to someone. And at first, they kind of give the impression that it might be Uncle Ben, but no, it's Richard Parker. Now, again, in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we learn that his parents were these uh, spies, and they were on the run for terrible things that they had done. And even in the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon, the 1994 cartoon, we allude to Spider-Man's parents, Peter Parker's parents, also being spies. And if they were ever caught, they would be put in jail. Well, in this particular universe, Richard Parker, is in jail. We don't know where his mom is, though. And we don't know why he's in jail. But that's it. That's all we get. We just get that scene of Aunt May talking to Richard Parker. And it's just a hodgepodge of everything they plan to tell us in the next season. And it just felt so condensed that there was no story being told. It was just a preview after preview after preview after preview of what's coming. The actual episode was probably 12 minutes, and they spent the rest of it just setting up the next season. They also had a frame of the Watcher. So Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are on top of this crane looking down at Midtown High that had just been destroyed by this Venom monster. And Peter says to Doctor Strange, "You went back in time, clearly. If you can do that, you can also go into the future, right? Can you tell me what's coming next? I want to be prepared for whatever might happen." And Doctor Strange says, "If I could tell you, I can't." And he goes back through his portal to wherever he came from. And then off in the distance is the Watcher, just out there chilling. We don't get anything from him. He's just there. And then we cut to another scene. And the episode ends with Peter running off of a building, getting ready to do the iconic web slinging in his suit. And he says, "Whatever comes next, I'll be ready for it." And then it ends. A very anticlimactic season finale. Again, it was only 12 minutes of actual story. And then it just previews the next season. I probably would have preferred if it was just a shorter episode. I'll also say they do a little bit more previewing. Again, there was so much of this that I'm having trouble even listing everything, because that's what it felt like, just a list of things happening. Well, Daredevil makes an appearance again, and it turns out one of the interns within Peter's internship is Finesse, a character working with Daredevil, who he planted there to spy on Norman. She gets another role to infiltrate another Osborn company because Harry decides he wants to create another business, one that is going to replace Oscorp for young people who want to get into the field, who have high level IQs, who are geniuses, and want to continue doing their work. So she's going to go back undercover and apply for a job at Harry's new company, which they call Web, and I don't know why they thought that made any sense. Let me take that back. It may not mean anything in universe. I can accept that. But when I heard the name, like, why would you do that? Why would you just tell everybody that you're working with Spider-Man? That's literally what that says to me. But at any rate, that's what he decides to call his company, Web. Now this recap feels weird because I'm just listing things that happened. There's no story being told. It's just this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. But that's how it's structured. That's how the episode is structured. It just takes you from scene to scene to scene, cut, 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 of different things that are previews for what's coming next. Why they decided to do that, I don't know. It was a mess. Thank you for coming to this screening of Real Swell. I hope you enjoyed. As you head out, I've got three things to ask of you. One, pick up your trash. These ushers don't get paid enough. Number two, make sure you are following so you don't miss the next screening. And number three, hit that heart for me. I'll see you all next time. Make sure you've got your ticket.